Hello and a very good day to everyone, and also to my honorable lecturer, Dr. Chalida Somsat. My name is Anis Alisha binti Asrul Helmi, and today I would like to present on my research paper, which is Factors Affecting the Firm Profitability of Technology Sector in Malaysia. In this introduction, the purpose of this study is to investigate on factors affecting firm profitability of technology sector in Malaysia. Then what is meant by the profitability? Okay, the profitability is a metric for determining how efficient the company is and ultimately whether it succeeds or fails. There are several problem statements stated here. Information and Communications Technology or ICT industry is projected to increase by 10.4%. Then, 22.6% of Malaysia's gross domestic product or GDP is contributed by technology sector. This survey have impact of 4 factors on firms' profitability of technology sector in Malaysia, which is it came out the 4 financial indicators that are current ratio, debt ratio, natural logarithm of total assets, and total asset turnover ratio. This slide has shown us the research objective, which is it have been set to determine the variables of factors affecting the firm profitability of technology sector in Malaysia. The purposes of the scope of studies is to investigate the determinants of public listed companies' profitability in technology sector of Malaysia from 2019 to 2021. The data have obtained from secondary database under the data stream. It have 67 public listed companies had selected, and also the data analyzed using the e-views of 12 student version. This research has focuses on one dependent variable, which is the profitability, and 4 independent variables, which is liquidity, leverage, firm size, and company efficiency, which is involving the subsector of technology industry, which is software and computer services, and technology hardware and equipment. There are 5 limitations of studies. First, limited data. Second, mainly focus on Malaysia. Third, study sample is limited to public listed companies. Fourth, lack of latest reference books and literature on firm profitability. And lastly, limited time given. Under the literature review of the DB, which is a profitability is an ability of a firm to make a profit, which is as a primary goal of all company. It is a vital requirement for long-term sustainability and success. For the IB1, the liquidity is an ability to swiftly change assets into cash and pay short-term commitments. Assets that can be readily traded at market price are liquid. The quicker an asset can turn into cash, the more liquid it is. For the IB2, the leverage is used to calculate the relative amount of debt of a company that has incurred. A firm's asset exceeds of its debt implies that the leverage is positive, while a firm's asset is equal to or less than its debts, implying that leverage is negative. For the IB3, the firm size have various sizes of firm in every industry, and it helps the company to evaluate its performance. The increase in the firm size, the company is easier to access more financial resources, and it can lead to the lower cost and higher profit, which is supported by resource-based theory or RBT. For the IB4, the company efficiency assess how effectively a company manages its assets. A higher ratio indicates that a company effectively utilizing its assets to cover its liabilities. Meanwhile, a lower ratio indicates that a company is not covering its liabilities with current assets. Under theoretical framework, it has 4 independent variables and also 1 dependent variable that I had mentioned before. Okay, it comprises liquidity, leverage, firm size, and company efficiency that may affect the firm's profitability as measured by return on asset ratio or ROA. Under the hypothesis development, like I said before, they have 4 independent variables, and the hypothesis came out as the resulted by H0 and H1. H0 is null hypothesis, which is we have to reject or no significant relationship, while H1 is alternative hypothesis, which is we accepted or significant relationship. Next, I am exposing to you the process of variables. For finding an analysis, the diagnostic test is to analyze the panel data to determine the variable robustness before choosing a research model and to detect the econometric mistakes. Now let's move on to the normality test. Based on the table, only firm profitability and the firm size are negatively skewed. Then for kurtosis, the majority of all the variables have positive kurtosis because of lactokurtic distribution has a strong deviation. Now for the Jack-Vera, only the firm size is accepted for the null hypothesis because it does follow the normal distribution and the result of the normality is p-value greater than 0.05. From the left table, it shows that the centered BIF values for all variables in this study's research is less than 10. Therefore, the multicollinearity problem does not exist. Then, from the right table, it shows that the modified Wald statistic test records at a significant result of 0.00 for all models. Thus, the null hypothesis is rejected. It implies that the data in this research is suffer from all variables from the heterogeneity problems. On the regression results for the liquidity and profitability at a high level significance of p-value lesser than 0.01 when the current ratio was significant, therefore H0 must be rejected for the null hypothesis because it means that the relationship between current ratio and the company's profitability is negative. Next, for the leverage, it has the same result as the liquidity and profitability before, which is the H0 must be rejected because the firm with high leverage will reduce the firm profitability where it has the negative relationship between the leverage and the firm's profitability. Then, for the firm size, H0 is to be rejected, but it has the positive relationship between the firm size and the firm's profitability. Basically, the larger firms have a higher profitability as compared to the smaller firms. For the company efficiency, at the significant level of p-value is lesser than 0.05 shown that the total asset turnover was significant and the H0 must be rejected, but it shows the positive value of coefficient of 30.80 and the total asset turnover and profitability is considerably and favorably related to one another. For the significance of study, we have to add to the existing literature on determinants of profitability focusing on Malaysian public listed companies in the technology sectors. Then, enhance the general knowledge of financial management, sustainability and the impacts of capital structure in any organizations. And lastly, the beneficial to technological companies by offering the reliable scientific indicators and perspective by evaluating and describing the relationship between the DVs and IVs. What I can conclude from the results that are evaluated, all the determinants are important in defining the company's performance in the technology sectors. All the financial ratios showed a significant relationship between the firm profitability, and the research objectives are all achieved. The research questions are resolved as derived from the finding that the relationship between the liquidity and leverage with the firm profitability is negative, while the firm size and the company efficiency has shown a positive relationship. For the recommendation, I would like to suggest for the researcher, they can apply a larger sample size like 15 years, 10 years or decades, or examine more companies and add some of the data from the other nations so the policymaker can make more alternatives. So that's all from me. Thank you for listening my presentation today.